Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to another edition, to another installment of Hashtag Fade to Black. Before we get started, apologies, no show on Friday. That was my fault. You know, when you do my line of work, a lot of long ass meetings, and everybody else got other lives too. So, speaking of other
I
lives,
felt bad. I felt bad I felt bad because I was dead tired and I passed out like a dude. Like, oh yeah, man, we're going out to the club tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna just stretch out my leg real quick.
But hey, like I said,
oh shit, I missed the show. Oh, he gonna be mad.
Just the way it is. So, but other than that, we are here. So let me go ahead and introduce my wonderful panel. Let me introduce. Welcome back, Teach. Anita Joe. We got Seep Away. He's back. You know, we were just talking about the wheel wagon and all that stuff, but we gonna get, if y'all watch Friday's show, you know what I'm talking about. And then Beast Johnson. Welcome everybody.
Hello.
So to this show is going to be a relaxed show. We can talk about anything, any topics or anything of that, but we do got a lot to talk about with this COVID. Let's just say a lot of important figures got hit with this hoax. And so we could jump in and talk about that. But other than that, it's going to be a relaxed, breezy show. And we do have a lot to talk about. But y'all know we got to start the show off with our opening statements. And Seep Away, you have first dibs.
So for my opening statement, I want to call attention to the fact that when our ancestors were brought here, they made laws that prevented us from reading and writing. When they wanted to teach us religion, they didn't allow us to read the Bible. They told us what they wanted us to know about the Bible. It was all done orally. And they chose specific passages to teach us and omitted a lot of information. When we finally were allowed to go to their schools, they didn't educate us in order that we could exercise self-determination. They educated us so that we would fit into their society. So the kind of education we got was not one that was geared for our own benefit, but towards theirs. And then finally, when it comes to the law and politics, what makes you think that they are going to teach us political science and law that is going to be objective and in our interest? See, a lot of us have never actually studied politics properly. We've never been taught politics properly, and we've never studied the law properly. So the vast majority of our people are not properly educated, oriented, and in a position to comment intelligently on political and legal matters that affect our community. And this is part of the damage that has been done to us, that we cannot make free and informed decisions because information has been deliberately kept from us. That's my opening statement.
Good evening. My opening statement, I want to return to a simpler time. I want us to return to an era of common sense, an era of context clues for those that remember language arts or pre-English class. We've grown to a time where we assume what we see is just that. If it's right here in front of us, that's what it is, and that's what we take it as. If we just look to the left, look to the right, use our peripherals, and look at the entire thing as we come to a more altered thought process, and it's not what it seems. A lot of answers and a lot of information can be given by just shutting your fucking mouth, opening your ears, and using your eyes to truly observe your surroundings. Many questions you may thought of asking, you find the answers right there. But first, you got to shut your fucking mouth and look and truly look and observe. And the answers will come to you. You may get little bits and pieces here and there, but ultimately, when the question comes to you and comes for you, the answer will be there because you use common sense and your context clues. These are defense mechanisms we had to use because, like Seafood articulated earlier, we weren't given and allowed the ability and the right to educate ourselves according to what they had. So we had to have it altered. So the only way we could truly understand and truly get a grasp of things is we had to pay attention to everything that was going on and notice how certain coincidence, certain subtle traits and subtle movements don't become so subtle, and they tend to add up to something bigger, something that gives you a lot more enlightenment on your situation and on your surroundings. That's what we had to do. We had to pay attention to the foreman and pay attention to the master, the seed, how they carried themselves day to day, the time frames in which they usually did things. We had to use our common sense and those context clues to find those small windows of opportunity that we could use for our own benefit. But we've fallen from those practices because we feel as though all the information is in front of you because there's access to a vast supply of it. You feel as though there's nothing to observe. There's no need for common sense because the answer's already there. And when you are granted too much information at one time, you are just as dumb and naive as when you had no access at all because your brain doesn't know where to go. And someone could easily, just as before, manipulate your path and manipulate the type of information that you do receive. So you gotta remember using context clues and that common sense if you really want to educate yourself. And I leave that as my opening statement. It's half of this show.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I keep it 100 on this show. Apparently, you see somebody's missing. Mr. O, he's missing from the show. As much as I don't want to put too much of our business out there, hopefully he returns to the show. So hopefully, Mr. O, if you're watching, I sent you the link. You are still a part of this show if you want to. If you want to come on Wednesday, that's cool. This is not a plea. This is not me begging. This is me just reminding you that you're still part of this panel. And you're welcome to come back at any time. Which we will talk about that a little bit in the show. So, but my opening statement is don't think it can never happen to you. What I mean is, just because it's happening to somebody else, don't ever think that it can ever happen to you. With this COVID mess going on, I could give a damn if it's man-made or what have you. It's here. A lot of people, is not taking it seriously. They sitting there saying, like, one thing my mom said, and I love my mom to death. I almost snapped at her. When she literally said, when I told her, I said, Mama, because I caught her on Facebook Live, and they outside partying. No social distancing, no mask, no nothing. And I see her right there, right in the middle of the freaky dance floor, dancing. Well, actually, it was outside, but you catch my drift. She was right there dancing, no social distancing, no nothing. And I literally called my mom. I was like, yo, Mama, like, it's a disease out there, right? I know, baby, I know. But you know what? God got me. I was like, stop. Mama, stop. Stop saying that dumb mess. I'm sorry. Stop saying that. Just put on a mask. Protect yourself. It's bad enough, even the people in uniform, soldiers who are required right now on post, right now, you are required to wear a mask everywhere when you go inside the building. You have to have on a mask. You got some of these soldiers that don't even go in with no mask. And I'm like, I don't know if you keep listening to Alex Jones or these conspiracy theories, thinking that it's a joke and all that stuff, but wait until you get it. Don't think just because it's happened to somebody far, far away that won't happen to you. You could be minding your own damn business. Just make sure when you mind your business that you keep yourself safe. Or keep in mind that could have been me. And I will elaborate much more on it in the middle of the show. But just take what I say to heart. Because just because it happened to somebody else does not mean that it can't happen to you. That's a food for thought. I give you the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I want to take you back to your childhood. The neighborhood kids were outside playing around, and somebody calls someone a name. A little fight may break out. And one of the responses that we would give is, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me." And we truly believe that as children. But this is only if you are rooted in self identification, self love, self determination. A person that is one with themselves, that know themselves. Because if you don't know yourself, you are open and subject to manipulations. Name calling is just as helpful and harmful as those sticks and stones. Name calling has the potential to kill your spirit. If we are not rooted in ourselves, words that come from another's mouth may potentially kill you. But when you are rooted and grounded in the person that you are, and you can stand in yourself, words just go off the cuff. They have no power to you unless you have not developed yourself to withstand the darts, the poison that may come out of another person's life. There are times when individuals may not like you or may not agree with you, but they're always around you. You have to understand why that person, that mouth is filled with venom, is always around. It's something that they want from you. It's an advantage they think that they can have because they're associated with you. Or they may be what's called an energy vampire. They like your energy, they like your power, and they feel that if they're around you, they can suck up your energy and suck up your power so they can take it and be whatever it is that they want to be. But we speak about power. As an individual, what power do you have? As a community, what power do you have? Do you demonstrate? These are things to think about. And this is my opening thought. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but names cannot hurt you if you are deeply rooted in the knowledge of yourself.
And here we are back. Now, today's show, like I said, is a very relaxed show, but let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. This COVID is a mother, ain't it? like that's that way. Huh? But yeah, let's go ahead.
Thank you for addressing it. I ain't got tea, but it's sweet, and I'm gonna sip on it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just gonna push the COVID thing aside. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later in the show. So, like I said, I want to keep it 100 on the show. I don't want, it to go at the back channels and all that great stuff. Let's go ahead and address it now. As like I said,
we don't do gossip,
right? So, and we don't do like the big time mainstream networks where they just pretend, oh, everything's great, everything's happy, so lucky. But
I'm not.
So we had I won't say an incident. We have a chat. We got a group on Facebook that Sleepaway give out a lot of information on. By the way,
you got to show love to his people.
Yeah, so it's where we chat with each other, and then also I send out the link to everybody to come on the show. Let's just say, T, I'm gonna let you go and explain your part. I don't think
our nation is in a crisis. We're in a pandemic, and let me know if you can hear me well. I got a notice that you could not hear me so well. Okay, because I got a new phone, and so I didn't have the earphones on. So so thank you for letting me know that you all could barely hear me. All right, so our nation is in a pandemic, and we've been having, how can I say, a variety of positions on the COVID-19. And we as citizens have looked for leadership from the Oval Office. And at best, that leadership has been very faulty, from saying that basically the COVID-19 is a hoax, and all other type of things, and most importantly, going against the guidelines that has been set up and mandated for everybody in the United States of America to wear masks to try to slow down the pandemic and give people a viable chance to live. And so it was announced that the man in the Oval Office did, in fact, test positive for the COVID-19. And we know that he's been out campaigning as well as going to various events with he and his people at the events not wearing masks.
Nope.
Of which I remember back in the summertime, the former chairman of the RNC, Herman Cain, had contracted the COVID-19 and he passed away from it. And that's just really not even 12 weeks ago. So the commander-in-chief, he was tested positive for the COVID-19. And so, you know, there are many, many memes going around on the internet. And I shared a meme of number 45 in a hospital gown with Obama at his bedside asking him, was he okay with his Obamacare? And it set Mr. Professor O off. And he did not appreciate that joke. And I said, you know, just live life. It's just a joke. It's just to make light of what we're dealing with. And he really just did not appreciate it. And we saw the worst of him come out. That's it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a lot of things that y'all see Mr. O. He's very passionate that y'all have not seen. This is not us we're not bashing him at all. We just stating facts and we most of all stating truth. But he did. I wish I could go ahead, Beast.
But as I said earlier, the easy way to describe the incident is, as we all know on the show, Mr. O is very pro-Republican. Teach brought up a good point about his heritage, you know, his lineage of being Nigerian. The mentality of many Nigerians is monetary, very capitalistic, and they go and gravitate towards those who they perceive are all about the money, and that's what Trump is. So he has a highly favorable view of him. No matter how distorted or skewed it might seem to others, it is very highly favorable to him. So to any kind of, what you see from him is how all Republicans act, basically. Most of them are bandwagon dick riders. Not saying he is. A lot of them are. He old school with his shit. Like, he's fervent. If Mr. O was in America, Mr. O would be a 50-year-old white man. Because that's just how loyal he is to the Republican nation. But like what you see from him, that's how it is right now. Like, they in power. So all their members feel bolstered and emboldened. And, you know, they just really they really feeling themselves.
Oh, yes.
But now that something's happened to their dear leader, it's like, y'all was talking all this shit. It's like the bully. You sit here and bully me all year, and now you get your ass whooped by your mama on school property, and you want people to feel sympathy for you. No, nigga. No, we gonna pick on you for the rest of the fucking year.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
So, like, that's what we doing right now. You talked all that COVID shit. You talked all that big or everything. Now your ass tested positive. Mm-hmm. Now you want people to worry about you and care and show sympathy. Let's all come together. Nah, bro, you've been divided, splitting the field for far too long now. Mm-hmm. Like, you are beyond the Spider-Man point. Like, even with your magic weapons, you cannot hold this shit together now that you got COVID, and we know. Give it up, boo-boo. There ain't no more coming together now on this. You showed your ass, and now everybody know who the fuck you really are.
Mm-hmm. And to add on one thing about the show, ladies and gentlemen, this show don't lean particularly left, don't lean particularly right. I won't even say we in the middle. We here discussing our views, the black views and what should we understand and what direction we should go. So when you hear all this about Republicans and all that stuff, because I'm gonna admit, yes, I lean left, but I would tell you this: I won't say I try. I believe I do keep it in the middle with everybody. Jump on the other side to understand where their point of views is. I never preach about you should vote for Biden and Kamala Harris. I even grade myself up on here. I never push no agendas on this show, just like everybody else here. Nobody else push no agendas on this show. So with us explaining how because like if you follow me on Facebook, or if you follow Mr. I don't know how many of y'all send him friend requests, except y'all know. But me and Mr. We do go back and forth on Facebook on live his posts, because I think sometimes his post goes he don't think it through before he posts. So we have our little like conversations back and forth, but in a respectful manner. So I understand the point that Beast is making, as well as teaches. But Seepaway, what's your take on this too? Because you came in like guns a-blazing, like, hey, now.
I told you he came in like the Biden meme. What you fuck you not about to do is
right.
My only thing is, no one is allowed to attack our women, black women. And no one is allowed to attack and disrespect. No one is allowed to attack and disrespect and slander our good friend. So when somebody, disagreements are fine. Political debates are healthy. Those are great. But when you make something personal and it is filled with vitriol and hate and negativity, I felt I have a responsibility to check any person, black or white, who would engage in such cowardly behavior against one of our own. So I just didn't mince any words. But the whole thing to me goes back to what Malcolm said when he was talking about the house Negro. When Massa gets sick, he say, "What's the matter, Massa? We sick?
We sick." That's right.
Sick. Y'all sick.
I'll be real with you when Seaway popped in there. Like, we're not going to discuss particulars, but when I saw the statements, I originally thought it was like directed at me and like the group overall. So I didn't even pay no mind. I was like, all right, that's just him being him. But once I realized, hold on, that was who would teach. I was like, all right, bro. Now you crossing the line here.
Yeah.
Like see what eloquently said. Number one, that's a female. Number two, that's a good friend and good woman who ain't done nothing to deserve no kind of statement like that. Like I said, you say that towards me. If you watched the show last time, Friday, I stated, though, I understand that you do not agree with me and you may innately not agree with me before I even finish my statement. And I'm cool with that. I still hear you out. But that level of disrespect and just like that's uncalled for, especially to a female, especially a black female, especially a black female that ain't said shit to you to cause that and warrant it. That's when you have to say, like, it's a Samaritan rule at this point. You have to do so. You have to say something.
Go ahead, teacher.
You cannot call yourself a good person and not do that.
I appreciate all of you all taking me as your big sister. Thank you, big brother. All of you. And but the point that I wanted to make, and I made on the post, was simply that this was a joke. Life is not that serious.
It's not.
If there's so many people that have died that I personally know that had the virus, that they did not get the care that this man is getting. And I believe truly that this is not the first time that he's tested positive. And they've been posting, this is not the first time he has tested positive. So they say when it goes into the washing machine, everything will come out.
Yep.
And so everything is coming out. And the fact that he went into the hospital, 3 days ago? And yesterday he left the hospital and went on a
he tweeted
tour
recently he left.
of waving. Yeah, he left this evening. And he's out on the balcony with no mask on. So as the leader, so-called having the virus, I just don't believe that he had it because, or if he had it, he just had mild symptoms. I really just think that he's just contagious with bullshititis. That's what I think he has.
If he had it, he had it before. Like you said, if he had it, he had it before because the recovery time will be a lot quicker if you've already had it.
Right.
You know, versus you would have to do. You could get away with not doing a full quarantine if you've already tested positive and went through the full regimen before.
It hasn't even been 10 days. And from what I understood, they get tested every day. So
somebody was hiding those results.
Okay, so it hasn't been 10 days unless I can't count. And 10 days
unless I got a new calendar that we don't know nothing about.
Exactly. And people that I know that in the first day or two, they are out. You cannot function. You cannot do anything. But the second day he's out joyriding, waving to his friends or his followers. It's just I've heard they could call it conspiracy theories, but for me, conspiracy theories are only theories that have not shown themselves to be true at the date that is being spoken. And they're saying that it's tied to, it was a publicity stunt to drive the stock market up. It was a publicity stunt to cancel the ongoing debate because he made such a debauchery of himself in the last debate that this was a way to get out of it, as well as he can actually delay the election because of his sickness.
It's also another point going by his Twitter statement and him saying that he received new and speedy vaccines and drugs. This is now a conspiracy for him to come out within the next month or two and say, hey, we now have, or we're weeks away from finalizing a vaccine and we're already in the human testing trial, or like we're in the human trials now. Like there's no stopping that kind of statement or that type of news coming out in the coming months. Because now he said, hey, I got it. But like I said, less than 10 days later, I'm going home.
No,
and I had we got some new drugs. Yeah.
3 days.
That's what I said, less than 10 days. Less than 10 days. 3 days. That's just 3 days is you're not God, you're not Jesus. But I see what you're trying to do there.
Yeah. He rose from the dead. 3 days.
But here's the thing.
Lazarus.
Everybody who was around him, all his constituents are now coming up positive, including Melania. Everybody's feeling sorry for Melania. I was like, I don't feel sorry for her. I don't feel so sorry for her.
I don't think
I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for her because she didn't read the fine print on that deal that she signed with him initially. Like you can see the look in her face is like, no. She looked like every person that I ever worked with at UPS after about 5 to 10 years of working there. You just look like this fucking money ain't even worth it. Like just fire me. I don't even know what. I don't even know why the hell I'm doing this no more. The healthcare ain't worth shit. I'm tired of dealing with the supervisors. Like, why do he keep touching me?
I want to go to your Christmas parties. Don't invite me.
Just get. Look, she got to look like, man, I can't wait till Thursday when that money hit my account. Oh, I'm tired of dealing with this.
Yeah, you can tell she's fan. I guarantee you, she wanted to choke him after she found out she tested positive. But then again, she was following his lead. I mean, and then now the press secretary, she's tested positive for COVID, and she's the one that kept on reading back his speeches. Oh, he condemned racism, he condemned it, and all this stuff. And now she's tested positive. She actually just did a press conference without a mask after she got tested positive. It's like, what? Like, this is
That's like wearing a condom after you find out you got herpes.
But
A little
now,
late.
now
A
we're
little late for that, sir.
after last show, now we have a proper lens for which to view this. No matter how it gets spun, once you understand asymmetrical election warfare and the goal to achieve full spectrum dominance, that's exactly what this was. Asymmetrical means it's a curveball. So this came at us like a curveball. When it came at us like a curveball, everybody is like speculating on what's the meaning of this. Everybody from the left to the right. Some people saying, it's a conspiracy theory, like he's really more sick than what they're telling us, right? Others are saying he's not sick at all and he just did this for some kind of goofball. No matter how you spin it, the cumulative effect is full spectrum dominance. He is dominating the airwaves, and he comes out of this. Look at what he said about Biden. Now he's like, Biden can't even talk to me about this because he's never experienced it. So he's using this as a way to say, look, I can speak authentically about this because I've been through it. They are achieving their goal. Whatever they do, whether it makes sense or it is completely irrational, once you have the proper lens, this is another example of full spectrum dominance, because he forced the opposition to have to go on national TV and wish him well. You didn't hear any of those broadcasters on CNN or MSNBC gloating in the fact that their avowed evil enemy was now sick, because they know that that's politically incorrect. So they had to say, well, treat him as human. No matter what's going on, he is the president of the United States. And when the president gets sick, I mean, that's an issue for all of us. It could create constitutional issues and secession issues and all of these things. He played the entire media because he's dominating the whole thing. That is his plan. And his followers, they buy into that. They're like, duh, if he tells us that we shouldn't let COVID dominate us, he should know. He had it. Look at how quick he like there's people that go along with that reasoning.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be the second wave of the Black Plague.
And the thing is that they show him as Superman. I mean, in 3 days, he bounces back and he says, "Oh, it's no big thing." But
COVID ain't shit, my niggas.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they don't say, and what they don't say is what they did in the Black community. When a person was sick, they had orders that they could not even be seen in the hospital.
So they
had to wait until they were at death's door. There was no emergency services. Okay.
Now to answer Key, I want to go ahead.
But he just goes ahead to the hospital and gets this super treatment, and in 3 days he's just cured, and it hasn't even gone 10 days yet.
And then also the doctors, they couldn't even give the media a straight answer, like, is he good? Is he all right? They basically just say what he administered and that he's leaving, and that's about it. Because it's conflicting information that the doctors are giving. I'm like,
first it was mild symptoms, then they said it was critical symptoms, and then now he's Superman. He's back at home.
To answer Keith when he was talking about that and the fact that people may not receive this experimental vaccine, with him bouncing back as he did, and we all know that Bill Gates is the one that's driving force behind the vaccine. and with Trump's party being in power with legislative and lawmaking and access and allowance of all legal factions and functions, it's nothing for them, like I stated earlier, to come out a couple months to, a quarter, a business quarter, that's 4 months, and saying, hey, we got the vaccine developed by the people in part with Bill Gates. This is the vaccine that was used by President Trump. Trump comes out there and okays it. And knowing him, they could do it, like I said, right before the election to dominate, to further dominate in the event that more people die after folks take his whole, I bounced back from COVID, so you can survive it too. So, keep doing what I'm doing. And then more deaths occur from it. That's when he'll come back out and say, hey, we got the vaccine. Me and Bill whipped it up. I was one of the test subjects. That's how I got back. That's how I bounced back so quick because of this vaccine. And now we can legally administer it to everyone.
Go ahead, Sleepaway. I can't wait to hear what you guys say.
Beast makes a good point, and you got to ask yourself, why would people like Bill Gates, people like Dr. Fauci, Donald Trump, why would these people invest hundreds of millions of dollars in a vaccine project? In
population control.
In ID,
excuse me.
ID technology.
Which is good. Population control.
ID, man, I want some of that.
I'm saying, right?
Oh shit! It hit your spirit.
Now, not only did they invest hundreds of millions of dollars in vaccines that go back not to this outbreak, but go back 20 years ago. They've also invested millions in ID technology, and they've married the two. They've married the two. Why would any business people who have no background in genuine altruism invest that kind of money if they didn't expect to get it back and make a profit? Okay, so they have a plan, and this goes back to my opening statement. They aren't going to tell you what their plan is to make a profit off of this, even though they've left breadcrumbs. And if you study them and you put them together and you paint a plausible narrative, that's when they start to, try to dismiss you as what Teach was saying, as a conspiracy theorist. But they don't want you to be in the rooms when they're making the deals, and they're not going to be honest about why they're doing what they're doing. Okay. Second of all, the real elephant in the room that nobody's talking about is the fact that you have a lot of people out here that said that Donald Trump is evil. You had people out here saying Donald Trump is like Hitler. You got a lot of people believe that this man is evil, but they are not saying what they really want to say is they should be praying that this man get sick and die from COVID, but they're not going to say that.
Not
but
publicly.
That's really what's
that's
in a lot.
improper.
No.
That's
Yeah.
improper.
No. Exactly.
To say
Anybody.
that, to wish death on someone else.
Well, this is why
our good Christian teaches us the ditch that you dig for someone else, you may fall into yourself. So we step back from that.
that's
So we
the
can't
Christian
sing
thing.
songs like "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot."
Coming for the Caribbean. home.
Okay.
No, carry him home.
For example, in our history, our maroon communities, the ones that escaped the plantation and went off into the swamps, be it in Jamaica or be it in the Dismal Swamp in North Carolina, when they had their gatherings, what did they do? What did they pray for? They prayed for Massa's plantation to burn down with Massa in it. So I asked the question, and this is what we're not talking about, is it wrong to pray for the destruction and death of people who plan and commit genocide against us?
No, because God, countless times in the Bible, especially Old Testament, has showcased what happens when His people pray to Him to smite their enemies,
And the enemies get smoked.
to free them of their oppressors, and they get free.
Nobody on the
To
internet,
punish
nobody on
their
Facebook,
oppressors.
nobody stood up and said, right, I'm glad he got COVID and I hope it takes him out, because what
Oh man, why did this thing up Sam Jackson when you said that?
Keith McCary brought it up. He said, look,
Yes.
our community is not going to get the experimental drugs in the treatment. That's not a
I'm
coincidence.
good.
That's a plan. It's a plan that we don't get the care, and that's exactly the definition of genocide. The definition of genocide under Article 2 says killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. So when you have a disproportionate amount of our community dying from this, that's genocide. So nobody stood up on Facebook and said, I'm glad he got the thing and I hope it takes him out.
I think it goes back to what you said about
I
everybody
haven't
wanna be
seen it.
really correct. Go ahead, teach.
I haven't seen anyone make the statement that boldly, but I have seen people to say, I cannot tell you what I'm thinking. And you know, it's a difference. And I know for me, well, I've heard people say, you know, this whole issue of prayer, and they ask the question, is it wrong if I say, let God's will be done? Because it's deeply embedded that you don't want to wish death on anyone. But we know, I look at it simply, we live once, we die once. When you die, it's not in my hand. How you die is not up to me. If it's his time, it's his time. If it's not his time, it's not his time. But I haven't seen anyone pull this out. On The Simpsons, you know, The Simpsons have a way to predict death and dying of celebrities. And there was an episode on The Simpsons where he died. How he died, I don't know. But we know for sure it's life and death. I haven't seen it. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
and I want to run across it
prior to the COVID. It was actually posted during his right when he's initially elected. It was like, y'all don't worry, it's going to happen, in the hopes of it'll happen within his presence. Because, like I said, the Simpsons did both predict that he would be president on 2 separate occasions. So they confirmed it before everybody else, before he even knew it, as well as his death. So when, like I said, we don't know. The closest meme I've seen is the African pallbearers outside of the White House door with the stand back, stand by, and the coffin on their shoulders. Like that's the closest, that's the boldest thing that I've seen.
On a serious note, because COVID has claimed so many lives, I posted on my page and I didn't get too many responses, but I just simply wanted to know, in the event that COVID won before the election, what was the process? Because we have 2 major candidates. And if one major candidate doesn't make it to the finish line, what do we do? What structures are in place for us to get another candidate, or what happens? And then it brings into question one more. It brings into question about the mail-in voting. some people in Michigan, they have already began to send in their mail-in votes. So these people have already voted for whoever. Now, say he doesn't make it to election, what happened to all those votes?
I think here's the answer to that question, right? The succession is that Mike Pence becomes the president. The election now becomes between Biden and Mike Pence. And they would have to institute a process where everybody that already turned in a vote, right, would be able to it would be messy, but they would be allowed to recast their vote. But it's pretty clear, right?
Recast or stay the same.
Yeah, but
Well,
Mike
like,
Pence
they
becomes
probably
the
give him-
president. Mike Pence becomes the president, and then the election is between the current president, whether he get another 4 years, and that would be Mike Pence, versus Biden.
Well, I
think
did
that's
get
how
an
that goes.
answer. No, it doesn't go like that.
Okay.
I was thinking
The-
that
the
too.
part
I was thinking
where-
that too.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
part
was
where
thinking. Same.
If he dies before the election, yes, Mike Pence would assume that spot. But as far as the election itself is concerned, the election is delayed, and the Electoral College can elect someone, and Congress can name a new candidate for the RNC, and then they can have another election. But Mike Pence doesn't automatically get the nomination to be elected. So the
let me-
election.
That's all I wanted because the time frame. The time frame is
Right.
messy.
So
But I was
only
thinking,
time,
wouldn't JFK when he died? Wouldn't
but that was during
when
his
they had probably,
presidency. That was
Yeah,
actually
that was
middle of
like-
presidency.
it was like
And
he was like 3 years in.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking too, because you got to think about President Ford too. Remember when Mr. I'm not a crook Nixon, when he left, then he assumed it. So I think that's a different scenario when the president
It's a matter of time frame. That's
Yeah.
the trickiest
Yes,
thing of it. Like
the election,
we have that
yes.
established, but throw the election in there. How would that play? Because
Right.
like I said,
It's a-
if he
it's a
dies,
different-
Pence does
it's a
become
different
the
caveat.
president.
He becomes the
It's like,
president, but that presidency ends.
It is when
Yeah,
he
but it's an election year, so it's like you're a president. So you just became president, and now you have to go back out and prove once again that you deserve to be the president, not
But
just president.
The RNC
by
has to
default.
nominate. The RNC has to nominate a new candidate, and the elections are delayed, so they can nominate a new candidate, and
So
then they can
would
have
it
the
become a
election.
three-way race?
Do you
So would it
think
become a
the
three-way
RNC
race then? Like
No, it would
two
not.
people from the RNC versus
It'd be-
one
No,
from the Democrat
no.
with the
The
current president
Democrat-
Pence.
Right. He is not running. He's just assuming the position of the president. So the
Understood.
So he
RNC
has no
has to
say in it at
nominate.
all. Dang.
Yeah, right. He doesn't get any say. He just finishes out that
That's-
term. So the RNC
It
has to
sucks.
nominate another candidate, thereby delaying the election, because it has to be at least two candidates, or at least two candidates from the major parties, and then also Congress. And if you listen to Mitch McConnell, Congress, they have the power to simply elect someone,
Mhm.
and
I
we
got a
can just be
question,
totally
Anita.
screwed.
I got a question.
Mhm.
Is it in fact true? Is that a law that says that there has to be a candidate from the Republican Party?
Well, the one that if he dies, he's Republican. They have to replace what was already there.
Okay, so here's my
So they
thing.
can't open it up for new candidates from the Democratic Party and from the Libertarian Party. They
So
stand.
are there rules about delaying the election? Because it could be that they would have to, the Republican National Convention, right? It could be, I don't know, this is what we'd have to check out. They would have to name someone quickly.
Fairly quick.
Otherwise,
Yeah, that's what I was
right.
thinking the same.
it's an
Like,
election.
what
Right.
kind of delay
Biden-
are you talking?
It's an election between Biden and all the other people on the ballot, third party people, Green Party candidates with no Republic. Like, if the Republicans don't name someone between now and the scheduled election, is there really a law that says that because the Republicans didn't name a candidate, that the elections can be delayed? Because there are other candidates to choose from.
Right, but that's a major candidate, and it's the presidency. So,
That's
let
my
me
question,
see.
which is, right, it could be that the Republican National Committee convention has to name someone quickly before the time. This is the law.
Before December the 14th, because December the 14th is the date of the Electoral College.
Right. So that's why I'm saying they might, I don't know. This is what we need a lawyer to check out. They might not be able to delay the election. They just, it's unfortunate that their candidate died from their perspective, right? If that were to happen, right? But they would then have to quickly name someone before December the 14th. I would like to, you raise a good point. I'd like to see what the law says on that, because there are other candidates besides Biden.
Right.
But
Besides Trump.
yeah, but I think the reason why that
He said what he said.
yeah, but then also you got so like I was saying, the Senate is run by the Republicans. So you know Mitch McConnell, you know they probably had those closed door meetings, and they probably already got a successor in the wings just in case this happens. Norm Turkey Neck, Mitch McConnell, he's definitely going to have something waiting. I'm telling you.
We're
So
summon the right one, the right communicator,
but
the old giver.
which leads me back to his predecessor, his little student, his little protege, Mr. Cameron, up there in Louisville, Kentucky. He had to turn over the tapes over the jury. He had to turn in. He had till last week Friday to turn over the evidence. He had to turn over the tapes and all that stuff and make it public. Come to find out, he was withholding a lot of information that was basically helping out the police. So, any of y'all heard that story?
I have. Yeah. And basically, the information that was put forth to the grand jury was slanted in a way and prevented them actually from getting the actual indictment on the other officers. So they manipulated the information.
Yeah, and one of them only just got like basically slap on the wrist. It wasn't even nothing. But anybody else heard of Sipaway?
I didn't look at what was presented that was kept from the jury, so I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we knew that from the beginning. We, without even having to see it, we knew that he was withholding. You know, we like Beast was saying, right, in his opening statement, right. Common sense told us that he was going to withhold information. So now we know. Were you able to find out? Okay, so how does that affect things now? Are they going to now go back and re-indict these people, or have another grand jury, or is the book closed on that, or what?
Well, I said, I'm thinking if they already went through the indictment process and was cleared, double jeopardy would presumably come into play, or does that only apply to specific levels of crime?
I mean, I think the lawyers for the Breonna Taylor, I think he's actually pushing to I don't think the case even is closed. I think that he want them to what they call it, put it back in session and put it back on the table, and for them to go through it again. Go ahead, Teach.
I think they're gonna go take it to a higher court, to the Supreme Court, because the lower court failed to do its justice. So I think that's what they're going to try to do. And one of the jurors are suing Mr. Cameron because he felt that they manipulated his testimony. So he felt that he was not properly represented in the way the information came out in the grand jury.
Yeah, and I understand the factor that, yes, we expect this to happen, but it goes back to what we've been saying on this show millions of times. When's enough is enough. I understand when what's her face? Tia Mallory, she's one of the activists that's up there in Louisville right now. And she basically just denounced Cameron, saying that you that other Negro, you're not part of the black folks, basically just taking his black card. But when is the point where you just be like, you know what? Fuck the system. Fuck you. Fuck the courts. Fuck everything. Let's go ahead. Y'all sit there and criticize us for looting and rioting. Guess what? We're going to give it to you now. Y'all did it many, many moons ago. You did it when we had
I keep it hot with you. I could use me a couple nice big screen TVs and a couple extra equipment for the music. I can't get banned with you.
I've been thinking about this because even when he was with the things he be saying, I'm like, you know what? These are things that I've been thinking for a while, but he's taking it a step further. And for me, if that was like my sister, maybe my wife, maybe my girlfriend, maybe even my cousin, when will just sitting in front of the freaking news people asking you questions or having press conferences or having rallies is going to be enough? Where you can just tell people, you got a gun, you got a weapon, let's go. They can do it without getting charged and not getting gas thrown at them and all that stuff. We got people that are prior military that's freaking got experience that could be up in there and just go through like that one group, not fucking around coalition. Mm-hmm. They should be. It's like if I was part of that crew, or if I had something like this, heaven forbid, happens to my family, I'm not going to be going up to CNN and being like, this is tragedy. You know, we need justice reform. No, you take one of mine, I'm taking all of yours. I think it's past due, which goes back to what you were talking about on the show a couple shows ago, Cheech, about patience. You said that we're not ready and that our patience are still full. And I'm getting to a point where I'm sick and tired of every time I turn on my YouTube, because I watch my news from a YouTube, and seeing this mess. And all we can do is just watch the, jury or the judge give their sentence. You barely hear that, but just give their convictions. Do y'all feel that way? Do you?
I feel that we feel powerless.
Yes.
We think with fear. We think that if we act out, that they're going to come back and crush us. And that is the fear that they established in slavery, where they took one person, made them a victim, and made all the others stand around and watch them. And so that fear paralyzed us from action. And I think it was in one of these African groups where they had a picture. I think they were did a little clip of Roots, where the overseer was beating Toby, and all the other slaves were standing around. And the African chimed in and said, they're just weak-minded people, because how can these hundreds of Black people and the one white overseer. How can all of these people stand around and watch that one overseer beat this one man? How come they just don't rise up and just disable the one white overseer? So, taking that scene, we're afraid. And even Professor O, he has said it many times that if the power structure exists, fails, that we will somehow or another not flourish. And my position is, if the current power structure fails or is destroyed, that is our opportunity to rise and shine.
Which goes back to what Sleepaway was talking about when 9/11 happened. Everybody just mourning, you should be rejoicing. And so it's all coming together. But for me, as me, I'm trying to get too much out of character as being the host of the show, but I'm a hat doing this one. I'm just to the point where I'm sick of saying, well, it's expected. It's expected. Was expected. I'm sick and tired of saying that. And no offense to all the, activists, and knowing that Sleepaway's cousin is they still going through it over there in Milwaukee. Not Milwaukee, I'm sorry. What's that place?
Kenosha.
Kenosha. And y'all still going over there and doing y'all thing over there, Kenosha. But when is that time where people really start to take up arms? And I'm not sitting there trying to provoke violence, because this has been happening for years and years. White folks does this. When you go to a sundown town, I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story. So there's these two Black Star first classes, one that I work with. He actually told me the story. They was going through, I think, somewhere in Illinois or somewhere like that. I think it's Missouri. And they went to go stop and get some gas. And he realized after he paid that the gas wasn't turned on. The guy literally walked out there and said that, I think you should leave. And he was like, why? I'm just here just to get gas. And then next thing, a police sheriff comes in there and he's like, boy, I think you better go. It's about to the sun's about to go down. I think it's time for you to go. And just when he said that, he saw 3 or 4 or 5, 6 cars coming up the street, and they both jetted on out there, and they followed them until they passed the freaking city limits. Where it's like, and here's the,
I'm from a city like that.
Right, and here's the contrary to that. We could get mad at each other. Like, for example, what happened with Mr. O and Teach. He's quick to get mad at her for just making a joke. But if it was somebody who was white that made that joke, I put my next paycheck on it, that he would have took it as a joke. But then again, he's not. I think I'm at fault at it sometimes. I'm gonna call myself out there too, where I had to catch myself. I'm like, damn, I came at him or her pretty damn hard, and I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna be a bitch when I say it. Sometimes I kind of tear up. I'm like, damn, I just went after one of my brothers. I'm like, why? Like, why? And I go back to a part. Now, it didn't happen recently, but it's like the last time I did it, I literally went back there and I apologized. I said, I'm sorry. I should never snap at you like that. I want to talk to you like man to man, like adults. But see, that's our problem too. Just like in with what happened with Toby and Fruits, when everybody sat there and they watch. I can relate that to people when they sit there, they record on the phones, like, hey, get the fuck off them.
Exactly.
And I'm like, if you got that much freaking animosity, what the fuck you ain't?
I wasn't raised that way.
Right.
I wasn't raised that way. And I feel like I tell my girlfriend all the time, why can't I be around when some shit like that happens? And she says, because you be the one to jump in. Exactly.
Exactly.
Because that's how I was raised.
And when you jump in, okay, okay, that situation just happened. What was it, yesterday with Jonathan Price? Jonathan Price, big strapping black dude, right? Good dude. Girl was getting, abused or was in he jumped in to save her, and the police showed up, and he raised his hands and tried to explain and they just shot him. So we intuitively understand that if we make that move, if I'm standing around the crowd videotaping and I'm watching the George Floyd getting strangled, I know that when I jump in and attempt to grab the gun from the officer and shoot him, I know that's a suicide mission. Okay? I know that's a suicide mission. Now, if I've been indoctrinated to think, to fear death, and to not understand that the worst fear is not death, the worst fear is to be rejected by your ancestors in the afterlife. If that's your greatest fear, because you're not just a physical being, you are an energetic being. You can call it a soul, a spirit, an energy, a conscious, call it whatever you want. But you are not your body. You are this invisible thing that lives inside your body. Okay? And when your body perishes, the real you that is living inside your body is released and goes to another world. And when you go to that other world, you're going to meet your mother, your father, and all your ancestors. And they're going to what? Did you honor us? Did you fulfill the aims and objectives of our lineage? And if your worst fear, see, for a Christian, the worst fear is dying, not being saved, and going to hell. But for a traditional African person, the worst fear is dying and being rejected by your ancestors. Now, if you're raised to fear death, which is what our Christian indoctrination does, right? We mourn at death. We fear death. We think that's the worst thing, a violent death, being shot to death. If that's what you fear, you're not going to intervene. And until we replace the spirituality and the mentality that it is a glorious thing to defend justice and humanity, and if you lose your life in the process of defending justice and humanity, you will be received as a hero in the next life. But we're not teaching our sons that. We're not having that conversation. Hey, if you go to school and there's a school shooter, they teach you to what? Duck and hide and be afraid. No, we're supposed to be teaching our sons, if that happens, you got to find a way to maneuver so that you can attack the shooter and save everyone. And if you die in the process, that's an honorable thing. That's a conversation we're not having. We teach put your hands on the dashboard. Obey, submit, obey, let your human rights be violated, and we'll help you to live with the dehumanized indignity of that for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. And see, wait, to tell you the truth, I'm at that point right now. I am literally at that point.
Look, listen to Seaway right now. It makes me have such a deeper affinity for my father and the powerful things that he taught me in the 10 years I actually got to know him. And there's 2 instances that I saw my father actually get aggressive and physical. It was purposeful. First time was Halloween. We were doing the whole, out in the Coliseum area where everybody trick-or-treating, and domestic abuse popped up. And my father just simply walked up to the man, let it be known, and ended up taking the man out. My mother on cue grabbed the mama. She grabbed her kids, and me and my sister just automatically just knew we come for the kids while my mama come for the wife. And my father tried his best not to kill that man in front of everybody. Because to put your hands on a woman, especially if she ain't deserve it, he wasn't going to stand for that. If he saw it, he was going to step up.
Mm-hmm. And see, and that's what we're supposed to do. And that goes back to defending our black women. I know I said that. Yeah, go ahead, Teach.
I like what Beast Johnson just said, because in the conversation in show past, I said there's going to be a point where nobody is going to have to tell you what to do. You don't have to figure it out. It's going to be action. And that's exactly what Beast Johnson just described. His father went into action and everybody else knew what they had to do. And that's what's going to happen in the black community. Something's going to pop off and instinctively people are going to know what to do.
Yeah.
Because all this talk is just talk.
Because to use that whole setup, and to use that whole setup, you're gonna have a movement of my father, a million man movement of individuals like my father. But like T said, ain't gonna say nothing. They just gonna walk up and they go maybe say what need to be said to the prime target, and they're gonna immediately handle that situation.
Right.
While individuals like my mother and myself and my sister as children, we tend to those that we need to. Tend to the women, tend to the children, immediately help them evacuate from the situation, the scenario, and give them the aid that they need.
Yes. And which goes back to defending the black women and just seeing how black women have been treated. Like through all of this, it's like, damn, this is serious. Like I literally overheard a conversation about, well, look here, man, I'm worried about my own woman. I can care less about another black woman if they get hurt and all that stuff. I'm sitting there just hearing this conversation. I really want to be like, well, like, dude, like,
nigga, your black woman is every black woman. Shut the fuck up.
Right. And
I say it for you.
And he was using the excuse of, well, my girl, she's white and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there like, well, okay, my girlfriend's Filipino, but I'm still not going to let another black woman sit there and get abused, even if it is a police officer. It's our duty to defend our black women, regardless.
The rebuttal was simply this. Is your mama white? Is either one of your parents that color? Is that the color that you were birthed from? No, then shut the fuck up and show some damn pride in your heritage, nigga. You're not gonna let nobody slap your grandma, are you? No. Well, that's somebody's fucking grandma. If she ain't and if she young, it's your obligation to make sure she becomes somebody's grandma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Sipaway.
Well, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm going to keep it 100% real, because what Teach said about us feeling powerless is really the issue. When they shot my cousin Jacob, that was personal to me. I had to ask myself, what am I going to do about this? This is my family now. Okay. Now, my first thought was not protest, march, have a press conference. My first thought was, how do I drive myself to Kenosha, find Rustin Shesky, and shoot him 7 times?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that was the same thoughts.
That's my first thought. I'm feeling, how can I talk all this shit that I talk about everyone? And here it is, my family, and you ain't did shit, Sipiwe. Right? You talk a big game, but you ain't did it. So my first thought is, okay, I need to go to Kenosha and I need to set the example. Now, I don't have a firearm. I'm a victim of the drug war. I have a felony conviction. Okay. So for me to execute that plan, first I got to figure out how to get a firearm. Then if I get it, now I got to go. What's that? I mean, there's ways to do that. I'm just
quite easy.
I'm just keeping it real. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I got to illegally transport firearms across state lines just to get to Kenosha. Then I got to figure out how to find Rustin Sheskey or his family. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to have a vibration on me that's suspicious. I don't belong there. I don't know anybody there, right? I'm going to have and so I'm thinking to myself, what is the likelihood that I'm going to be able to successfully complete this operation? And I'm thinking, man, I'm not a soldier. I don't have any training in this, right? You can count the number of times I've shot a firearm on one hand. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, what are the other alternatives? So then I start thinking, well, what if you poison him? Okay. And then I'm thinking, well, that's what Balanta people did a lot of times in the past. So I'm thinking, how do I get Sassy Bark imported, right, from Guinea-Bissau, right? I got the formulas on how to change that, but then how do I find Rustin Sheskey, and how do I administer the poison to it? So I'm thinking through these practical steps, and the more I think through these practical steps, I'm realizing the likelihood of me accomplishing the mission is so low because I don't have that skill set. In the same way that I wouldn't ask the average person in my community to fucking be a defense lawyer in a litigation case because they don't have legal training. Okay, so everybody's got their role to play. So what I'm saying is, I do feel powerless. And you can tell, I've put thought into what is it that I can do? Because it's not that I'm afraid of the death, it's this, what is the likelihood of me being able to do it? And I'm probably, if I don't achieve it and I die.
What's the success rate? What's the success rate?
So what's the point of me failing at that mission? And now I left my two sons that are 8 and 6 without their father. Let alone I left my wife without her husband. Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, I like Anita said, I feel powerless. And right now, the only thing I have is my voice to at least have the courage to not mince words and then try to appeal to the people who have the training that I don't, who live in the place where I don't, and say, look, okay, I don't know. How do we do this? Right? Because
it's not about doing that.
I don't. But if I'm a lawyer and somebody need legal help, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna do what I have the power to do. And I'm saying True. Right now, the people that have the training and the power, the know-how, and the skills to pull off those missions are not stepping up to the plate.
But what I'm saying is, instead of having a finite reach for your call and for your cry, throw it out like you want to get at the hearts of the masses of everyone, because like use almost the Kevin Bacon technique, like by going for everyone, because you don't know who knows what, because you don't know exactly who is skilled. Like by me actually doing the podcast with Donnell and actually talking to him after the fact, and then everything snowballed to here. Mm-hmm. I found out this man's actually in the military. So anything that I might have been thinking about or plotting with that requires any type of military expertise, I've now come across that individual without even searching for that individual. But knowing in my heart of hearts, I need an individual like that for what I need to achieve. For example, with myself, like I have a vision. I told Donnell about this when it came to my music, and I always had the independent type of Master P feel. And I was like, God gave me a dream where I'm gonna be sitting here like I'm sitting in this chair right now, with just a little No Limit Soldier army behind me at a table in front of these industry people about to sign this deal. Look, knowing good and well that everybody behind me plays a vital role. And as I had this dream over the next 10 years, I ran across 85 to 90% of those individuals that I needed. And I said, I knew I would need to truly achieve what I need. My engineers, my songwriters, my producers, my videographers, like those individuals gravitated to me. Individuals that I knew do one facet by me knowing them in that facet I gained the knowledge that they were not only technical but proficient in another facet that I truly required. I already established that rapport with them in this facet. Now I have no problem gaining that access to them in this other facet. So that's what I'm saying when I'm saying like hit everybody. That way you have a definite shot of getting not just the one vital thing you know you need, but all the other things that you have in the back of your head that you feel like is going to come next. You can get all of them in one fell swoop, like a fisherman gaining up a nice little catch. Instead of getting that one, you done came back with 15. That's a good little come up, ain't it?
That's
That's
pretty
what
good.
social media is for.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is why we're here. And this is why we do what we do. And speaking of that, teaching any last words, we went into overtime. That was my fault. We had a great we was having a great conversation.
We were. This is a good one.
I can appreciate what Sipaway says in terms of the powerlessness. As a group, we're still thinking as a displaced people. We're not thinking that we are rooted here, though we have been here for centuries. We have not taken ownership of this land. We have not taken ownership of our community. Religion weakens us and divides us, be it Muslim, be it Christianity, be it any other religion other than the original spirituality that was given to us by our DNA. If it's not in our DNA, it is foreign. And these things govern us in a way that's against our soul, it's against our might, it's against our will, and it leaves us in a way of not knowing what to do because we are disconnected from ourselves. We are disconnected from our power, and that's why we feel powerlessness. When you look back on the slave revolts in North America, it is only those revolts that they did not include Jesus or Christianity that they found success. And that speaks volumes. If you know how slavery came about with the signing of the papal bull by Pope Nicholas V that legalized slavery in Jesus' name, then you cannot pray to Jesus to get that same oppressor off of your back, because it was Jesus that signed the contract that allowed it to go forward. People must understand that. They must understand that. But they don't. And so we're here praying to gods that have enslaved us, refusing our own DNA to save us or to empower us. And until we come back to ourselves, or as my grandmother would say, get with yourself, and I mean on a spiritual level, and tune into he who has created you, not he who have enslaved you, then we're going to always feel powerless. We're going to always feel directionless. We're going to always feel like IDPs, individually displaced persons.
Well, I wasn't expecting the show to take this turn, but I'm happy that we had this conversation. But Cheech, you gonna have a guest come on this Wednesday?
Yes, Attorney Barbara James. She works with the Board of Elections, and we're going to talk about the election process and voting and the history of voting and where we are. And maybe she may be able to shed some light on this election and what's going on, and basically promoting people to get out and vote.
Sleepaway, I know you can't wait till Wednesday. Oh, I cannot wait.
No, I'm looking for, I can't wait because we're going to have someone knowledgeable about voting and elections. And I think we'll be able to get, I'm looking forward to try to penetrate, on some really deep levels about voting and elections. And so this is the perfect person that we should talk to.
Boy, Wednesday is going to be fun. And hopefully, if Mr.
Yes.
if you're watching,
Come back.
come back. Come back. But with
Baby,
that,
come back. Sugar baby, all me. I was blind. Everything about you.
oh my goodness.
Mr. Oh, come back.
Yo, that's his on his new track, y'all. That's on his new track. Watch out. Watch out. Other than that, let me go in here.
Well,
Go ahead.
let me interject this one thing. One, he has to apologize, and two, he has to learn how to be respectful of everyone, not just me, but everyone, because he tends to
Go off the wall. Yeah.
Right. He tends to go and
Yeah.
spiral down into the name calling, which is immature and not worthy of his title and his profession and his own personages.
So
Oh,
the gauntlet has
intellect.
been
There's
down.
better
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. So the gauntlet has been set, Mr. O. Come on the show on Wednesday. Apologize. Well, I'm let Cheech.
He
gonna run.
doesn't have to apologize on the show. He
Yeah.
doesn't
Oh,
have to
no,
publicly
that's-
do that.
Just
Nah, this
give her
issue
an
is in
apology.
public, so we're not expecting the resolution to be public.
So,
We're just making our plea known.
but the resolution is out there, Mr. O. Go ahead and talk to Teach and give your apologies, and please come back on the show. We need that other perspective. But let me go ahead and start off with the final thought. We have hit into overtime, and we need to head on out. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a relaxed show. We did not have no set topics, no nothing. I think this is one of the most deepest shows that I think we ever had without, a main topics or topics to talk about. So kudos to my panel once again. My final thought is I want to shout out to Mr. Jones. I should have said this during the show, but this is a great time. Mr. Jones has his own shop. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jones from RealCheddarBoyPopcorn.com has his own store. I wish I had the pictures and photos, but I will show it on Wednesday. I want to shoot out a congratulations to Mr. Jones. Thank you so very, very much. We need you to come back on the show so you can advertise some new flavors. But other than that, my final thought is to him. Congratulations, man. Happy for you. Wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show, giving us some great popcorn, and now you got your own shop so you can sell. Congratulations. And don't forget to check out his website, ladies and gentlemen. Get your popcorn. It's strolling at the bottom. It's realcheddarboypopcorn.com. Once again, realcheddarboy.com. Once again, Mr. Jones, congratulations on your new shop. We wish you nothing but the best.
So for my final thought, I'm just going to reemphasize what Teach said. And it has to do with the fact that when I die, I'm going to go to wherever my grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents went. It doesn't take any kind of mental gymnastics. It doesn't take any kind of specialized religious teaching for me to understand that whatever happened to my grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, whatever happened to them, that's what's going to happen to me. So I'm going to go wherever they went. Now, this Jesus character, I don't know nothing about him. I never met him. Somebody said he lived 2,000 years ago. There's a whole religion built on, when I die, somehow he going to be my judge, and he going to either sentence me with going to a paradise, heaven, or I'm going to go to hell. I don't know nothing about that. None of that can be proven. That makes no sense to me. But what makes sense to me is I'm going to join my ancestors. And the question is when I go to join my ancestors, are they going to be proud of me? Are they going to accept me? Will I be found worthy because I honored and defended them? I'm more concerned with that. And so by discovering who my ancestors are and learning my history, that is how I become empowered. That is how I know what to do in my lifetime. Has nothing to do with no fictional story of folklore about some ultimate master whom everybody has to worship and obey as his slaves, otherwise burn in hell. So my final thought is we can transform and empower ourselves when we become more concerned with how we're going to be received by our ancestors.
For my final thought, simply going to be learn to take a joke. In spite of what's going on in life, find the humor. All right. I was 10 years old when my father died. My mother, God rest her soul as well, loved her to death, but she was not equipped to raise a child that looked so much like her dead husband and acted the same. Wasn't good on her psyche, nor equipped to deal with a secondary child with their own set of issues. On top of that, these black lips right here, oh, they've been black long before I ever thought about smoking weed. And the only reason I got dreads is to hide this big ass head. Thank God my body finally grew into. And I used to wear glasses that were so big they literally fit over my entire eye socket and could double as safety goggles in science class. I was told this by my science teacher in class. So needless to say, I had to learn how to take a joke. In spite of the fact that I was taking karate and I could easily fuck up a couple of them kids real easily, all my fighting got me was expelled. But I digress. Point being, I can go back and tell this story with a nice level of levity and humor. You may think it's self-deprecating, but no. I can look back at this shit and laugh. I can find the joy in any situation. It means I can deal with any situation that comes my way, no matter how severe. It's going to hurt me at times. It's going to cripple me at times. But knowing that I can find a little joy and a little laughter somewhere along the way, that does a lot to help keep you going. So as we deal with these times, No, there's nothing wrong with taking a joke, even if it seems improper or mean spirited. Sometimes a joke is just a joke. Laugh and go on with your day. Thanks for watching. My final thought.
Well, we've come to the end of another show, and it's just my hope that I have uplifted, motivated, and inspired some people to be their better selves. Each and every day that the sun rises, it brings gifts to you. How you utilize those gifts, how you turn those gifts into empowerment for your life is totally up to you. It comes from how you think, how you perceive, how you integrate the information that you have before you. So, as I started out, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never harm me. I look forward to the sun rising. I look forward to the gifts that the day will bring, that I may live the fullness of me, the fullness of my life as I see fit. So be encouraged, each and every one of you. Understand the power dynamics that you find yourself in, and find that way to empower yourself to be in power wherever you are, to be in power. And that is a gift that's given to each and every one of us, the power of the breath of life. And how you live it is totally determined up to you. You have that power. Live life and love. Good night.
And speaking of good night, once again, I'd like to thank my panel for tuning in. Thank you so much. And also, I'd like to thank the audience and people who've been watching the show. Thank you so very, very much. Keep supporting the show. We're going to start also on, let me go ahead and put this up. I put this up earlier. We're going to start uploading our own content up on this site right here, which I will let y'all know in the middle of weeks. Of shows, videos of us, giving our spill and all that, or our little mini shows, whatever. We're gonna start doing exclusive content from each of us, and even sometimes have shows where we're not live and it's just us and we just recording and we just shooting the breeze, or some things that's too hot to even be known out there to y'all. So also you can just donate too as well to the show to keep us going. Like I said, I really want to do interviews on the streets to actually be moving and all that great stuff. And not only just me, also for this panel as well. So anything else anybody else had to add? I take that as what they say, silence is golden. But other than that, once again, ladies and gentlemen, you see that even our leaders can get sick when they don't listen to guidance. But other than that, there is still a deadly disease out there, man-made or not. Please wear a mask. Please just put the damn thing on. Stop whining and complaining. Can't wait till Wednesday show. We're going to be talking about voting. As for myself, Dr. Monte Morris, for Anita Joe, aka Teach, Steep Away, who can't wait till Wednesday, and Beast Johnston with his craziness. I'm gonna miss y'all for a day. We'll be back at it on Wednesday. Other than that, let's go ahead on out. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, McCary, for being Mr. Number One. I got
Peace,
you.
Number one fan.
Yeah, we got to give him a I gotta give him a code where
number one vocal fan. Let's not. Because I'm catching hell from my personal fans over there. So you are the number one vocal fan. I tell my fans, if you want to beat Keith, comment.
Right, comment, come on the show. But
he gonna comment. So he is the number one most vocal fan.
I'm gonna
we know we love all y'all.
I'm gonna make you a code just for you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this live. I'll make you a code for our merch where you get everything half off. Yes, I said that. Half off for coming on this show, always coming on, commenting, and engaging with everybody. I will give you that code, half off of everything. Thank you for being such a great fan. But other than that, it's time for us to head on out. Once again, catch y'all later. Please put on the mask. Stay safe. It's been real. Catch y'all later. See y'all on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Good night.